Hi, welcome to Ed Talk. I'm Tamara.
And I'm Stephanie. We're here to answer all of the questions you didn't know that you had about education.
Anything and everything to do with education. I forgot
That's
to add
right.
that, see? All right, well, today you've probably seen the headlines about the Department of Education. And if you're a parent or a child with an IEP, your first thought might have been, what does this mean for my child?
So today, we're not here to debate any politics. We're
No.
here to answer one question. What can parents actually do right now to protect their child's education?
And this is really important. We want to keep this factual. I know it can be a very passionate and really touch the heart of a lot of parents right now, and a lot of educators out there as well. So I know I work with a lot of students that have IEPs, and for me, of course, I'm trying to just stay even and really bring you, like we said, the facts, what you can do. Let's move forward. I'm always about moving forward with whatever hand you've been dealt. So, so while these headlines are changing, and sometimes it really feels like your child's rights have suddenly disappeared. Let's think about this without taking sides. So, first of all, here's one factual thing, and then I'll turn it over to you, Stephanie, for another factual thing. One factual thing is there have been announcements from the government and how they have made changes in how they are going to oversee education. So that's number one. These headlines can be very overwhelming.
And it's okay to feel uncertain. I
Mm.
mean, I personally feel uncertain, but I do know that at this point, IDEA is still the law.
That's right.
And schools are required to provide services that are outlined in a student's IEP. So that's still law.
And so we are really eager to bring you an IEP advocate. We have someone already booked later on for the podcast. So look for that podcast coming up. And they will talk about all the things that you can do as a parent, what their job is as an IEP advocate. I don't think a lot of people know what an IEP advocate. And by the way, IEP, Individual Education Plan. So those of you, when we refer to an IEP, that's what this is. And an advocate will help families of students with disabilities navigate the complex special education system. So that is kind of the rough definition of an IEP advocate. They ensure that the school provides the appropriate evaluations, accommodations, any specialized services that your child may need. And they also teach parents how to effectively collaborate with the school district, with your school, with your teachers, or your child's teachers, so that they can, receive a great education. So that's what an IEP advocate does in a nutshell. Did I miss anything, Stephanie?
No, just the IEP advocate. They have been navigating this system for the first time this year, and it is extremely difficult. I've been on the other side when I was in the classroom, but I have not been a parent of a child with an IEP until this year. And if I had, I'm this close to needing an IEP advocate. I'm not having the best experience, um, and that I guess that leads us into why parents are feeling nervous, right?
Because it
This
is
whole
very,
change.
yeah, I'm sorry, it's very overwhelming. There's a lot to
Oh
learn.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
These
you have to.
changes are. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think we're both like so into this. Yeah, I know. Go ahead, because I was just gonna say, you have to decode all these complex school reports, psychological reports. You're thrown into a whole new universe when your child has special needs, and when things are just out of, I don't want to say the word normal, but that's how they look at it, right? Like
Of
out of,
what is defined by the education
yes.
system as
Thank
normal.
Yes, I love that. Well said.
It's sad. And I mean, some of these things that I'm about to list on why parents are feeling nervous about this,
Mm.
I
Yeah.
personally have struggled with just in the past 3 months. So any change in any type of special education, anything creates extreme uncertainty. And
Absolutely.
families wonder, and this is what I'm wondering, which, today is the day that I found out all of this stuff. So families like myself and my family are wondering if services are going to change and how they're going to change. I struggled to get an evaluation for my son, and it was months. It was months. We identified a problem, and then I was put on a waiting list. And I was lucky because somebody had a cancellation and I was able to get in a month before my appointment. But I'm talking, I still waited months for the appointment.
And that
And
brings me to the next point that
yeah.
as a former administrator, district office, working in different school boards, I know that we are so understaffed. And that's why it
Oh
takes
gosh, yes.
months. We are so understaffed with all of the appropriate and really hardworking the just I want to say not just educators, not just teachers, but whether they're school psychologists, whether they're school, all the testing that has to be done. And it takes months. It takes months to go over what services are needed and to really for them to really understand your child and provide the best educational plan moving forward. It does take them a lot. And it's because they're understaffed.
Exactly. And I have, after the implementation of the IEP, which again took over a month, to from the time we had the appointment to the time the IEP meeting was, it was over a month. I didn't receive services. Well, not me, because it's not me that was receiving services. My son did not receive services for over a month because
Right.
they were understaffed. They didn't have anybody to go in there. That is when I feel like I needed the advocate. If I had been in any other profession other than education, that would have been my first go to, was to get an IEP advocate, because I had to pull out some legal jargon that I wouldn't have been familiar with had I not been in education. Yeah,
Well, and I know so many parents skip the IEP meetings because they don't understand how important they are and what
exactly.
a big difference it is. So I think that, everything going on in the news right now, moving all of this to DHHS, as being part of a different system is definitely concerning for people because they're already having a hard time navigating the system as it is.
Hmm.
And now things are going to change. And some people just feel they finally got a foothold. And it sounds like you're one of those parents that you feel like you can finally stand up and really hold on to this new world for your family. And now the rug's been just pulled out from underneath you
Yes.
because it's going to change. But you know what? I think what you said earlier, IDEA is still they still have the purview of this. They still are the ones that it's still the law, right?
Right.
So that is
Exactly.
going to help things. And it does take time for things to be implemented. It takes time for changes. And especially when children are involved, they really need to think through this a little more about how they're going to do it. And so I think we talk about an IP advocate a lot right now because families don't know where to turn. And I know that I have had to recommend an IEP advocate for several families just to help them understand what is going on. Where do they turn to? How do they understand these complex reports? And Stephanie, you mentioned you have this educator background, so you understood a lot. And imagine if you do not have
Exactly.
this education background, right? And you don't have the experience and it is a lot to take in to absorb and a lot of parents just choose not to and I can understand that. They just trust the school board to do what is best for their child.
Exactly. And I'm just going to backtrack just a little bit. We've talked about IDEA quite a bit.
Mhm.
That's the Individuals with Disability Education Act, and it is a federal law. And it
Mhm.
means that children who qualify are still entitled to, or are entitled to, a free, appropriate public education, which is sometimes called FAPE, or I guess FAPE.
Mhm.
um, an individualized education plan, the IEP that we talked about, and required evaluations and reevaluations, as well as procedural safeguards and due process rights. I bring that up just because a lot of people say, oh, my kid's on an IEP, they're going to get, accommodations, and that's all that they qualify for. But there's so much more.
There is more. And I think that's a key takeaway for all of this right now is that whether these policies change or not, or what or when policies change, how they change, the most important thing that we want you to remember as parents is that parents who understand the process are in a stronger position. I'm going to say that again. Parents that understand the process are in a stronger position. You are able to fight more for your child no matter what the situation is. And I say this is true whether your child has special services or not.
Right.
The more you understand, the better you are to be that, I would say, to be that mama bear, or that papa bear, and to just, make sure your child's getting what they need. Because really, that's all we want as parents is for our children to succeed and to have the best chance to achieve and learn and grow and be their best selves.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you don't want to wait until there's a problem to start advocating,
Yes,
and either advocating yourself or advocating with an IEP advocate, right?
absolutely.
Uh,
Right.
This
Yeah.
these IEP advocates can do more than even the most seasoned educator, just because that's what they live and breathe every day.
Absolutely. And it's not someone you're going to hire because you're preparing for a fight. We don't want you to think that. It is someone that helps to explain the process. They will even attend meetings with you, whether it's
Exactly.
virtually or in person. Um, they can, translate that educational jargon, that educational language, help, kind of decipher that. We often forget as educators, I know I am guilty of it. We often forget in a world of acronyms that not everyone knows our acronyms. So we have to explain that. And they can help you as a parent ask the right questions. That's really important as well.
Exactly. So, practical things that, before you get an IEP advocate, before you even do that, the things that are practical that parents can do today. Keep copies of all of the IEP evaluations, any type of evaluation. Keep a copy of it. Have a folder of it. Mine is sitting right next to me for both of my kids. And make sure you're organized. The last thing you want to do is try to go into a meeting and there be papers just everywhere and you don't know what you have and you don't know what you need.
Right.
Make sure that, yeah, make sure that you save all of the important emails and document everything.
Right. And an IEP advocate can also help you prepare for the meetings. So if you
Mm-hmm.
are a person that is not highly organized, and I don't know any such person, you
No,
know,
it couldn't be me. Can't be me, right?
I,
Not me.
I just don't you just love the friend that has everything just like color coded and so organized and so perfect, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could do that.
I'm gonna
Sometimes.
be that when I grow up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want to be.
But you don't have to be that person. An IEP advocate will help prepare you. They'll help make sure you have the documents you need for the discussion you're going to be having. They will help review the evaluations with you. And then again, help you ask the right questions, help clarify all that jargon. And then there's a lot of goals. When we talk about individual education plans, there's a lot of goal language in that, goals of what your child should be able to do once they accomplish the task at hand. They're working towards these things. um, it could be, we just talked about organization. That could be one thing. I know that has been before, just to make sure that they put things in their backpack and take them out of the backpack and give them to mom and dad or whatever. uh, so there's simple goals and then there's more complex goals, but I also think it's really important to understand the goals and the ramification of those goals, um, and what that means as far as support services as well. I think if there are certain goals that are going to require a staff member to assist
Mm-hmm.
them, and there are some goals that they're going to need to try and do it on their own, independent goals. So it's really important to understand all of your options, to understand what an IEP advocate can do for you, and the different varying levels of an IEP advocate, right? Because there's some that will meet with you virtually, there's some that will literally hold your hand through the entire process. I say literally because I've seen someone hold someone's hand in a meeting. So it just depends on
Exactly.
what your needs are.
Exactly. And, we, like I said before, we don't want to wait until there's a problem
Mm-mm,
because you're already like 5 steps behind.
exactly.
Yeah, it's it's also about building relationships, right? You'll have that relationship with the IEP advocate. You
Yes,
definitely also want to make sure you have a good working relationship with the students' teachers because those
absolutely.
will be the ones that can fill you in between those meetings.
Mhm.
Um, Personally, I go into the classroom and volunteer to make sure that I have my finger on the pulse
That's good.
of
Mm,
what is going on there.
yep.
I will be the room mom just so I know what's going on.
Absolutely. And we even had an earlier episode of Ed Talk, we had Carrie Lindbaum on, and she actually talked about when she went into IEP meetings for her son, she would literally bring, like she said, pizza, candy, sodas, because sometimes these meetings are very long and the
Yes.
teachers are giving up their lunch break to come in to the meetings and things like that. So those are just ways like, hey, we are a team. We're work they and teachers want to work with you. They want the best for your kid too. I mean, you are their parents. There's no substitution for that. But at the same time, it is all about the team working together to make sure that you have what you need for your child.
Exactly. I always frame it as team insert child's name here, right? We're all on team, we're just going to say Susie. We're on Susie's team. It's Team Susie. We can't do it alone, right? You need every
Mhm.
member of the team to
Yep.
to be helpful. And there a lot of people will say cuz when I was thinking if I was going to need an advocate, does this mean that I've failed in my part?
Right. Right. No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
It's like we talked about in other episodes, it's that mom guilt, right? It never
Yeah.
stops.
Yes. Well, and just think of it like, I don't know, being a realtor or using a realtor, right? You need someone to help you with some of those, complex, agreements, when you're moving forward and buying a house and searching for houses and this,
Exactly.
that. I mean, there are ways to do it on your own, and that's fine. But having a realtor makes it so much simpler. And so that's what we're just saying with the IEP advocate. We just want to bring it forward to you to let you know they are out there and they can make your lives easier. So, yeah, to wrap this up, I would say number one, don't panic because of the headlines. That's number
We'll
one.
let you know when it's time to panic. It's not time to panic yet.
It's not
I'll
time to
I'll
panic.
be here to let you know when to
Right.
panic.
Yep. And you focus on what you can control. Move forward with the hand that we've been dealt. Focus on what you can control. That's really important. What else, Stephanie?
Just know that your child's rights, they still exist
Yeah,
today. And knowledge is going to be your number one superpower. It's powerful.
absolutely.
And then, do you want to wrap us up?
Sure. I would say, as we've talked about, an IEP advocate can be a powerful and valuable team member, for your child's support team. Would you say team, insert your child's name here for all the
Team,
teachers?
insert your child's name here.
So,
So,
yep, go ahead, Stephanie. Take it
oh,
away.
sorry. If this episode helped you at all, if it helped you feel even just like a millimeter less overwhelmed, please share this with another parent.
Mm,
Chances are, if you had the questions, they have the questions too. And if you still have questions, please reach out. If you're watching, leave a comment. If you're listening, there's the fan mail option. We'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your own personal successes of dealing with an IEP advocate, or what was the point? Because I'm a mom now of a kid with an IEP. So what was that point that you reached that you were like, nope, I need an advocate?
yeah,
Let me know so I know.
absolutely. And then listen for a future episode because we should be coming in about 2 weeks or less. Coming your
Yay.
way for an IP advocate. We're actually going to interview one or more because I do believe it's important to have a variety. So keep on listening to Ed Talk with Tamara and Stephanie. Anything and everything education.
Thanks, everyone.